Hello. Normally we're not here. I don't know. Here recently I've been streaming on weekends. Who cares, right? We're here and we're gonna have a good one. So the winning mindset, a mindset you can't go wrong with. Let me drop a notification. This stream is mostly for it's aimed at anyone who is confused. It's aimed at anyone who wants to simplify it. It's aimed at anyone who wants a very clear objective. I mean, we always try to do that, right? But this stream specifically is about as simple as it gets. So that's what we've been trying to accomplish here recently, and that's what we're going to try to accomplish again here tonight. So we got Ghost first in chat. What's up, Ghost? We got Meet Gorilla Slam. What's up, dude? We got Edward. We got Jay. What's up, Edward? What's up, Jay? Welcome, guys. Welcome. Hope you're doing fantastic. I'm going to very quickly annoy the Discord with another notification. As if 3 is not enough, we'll toss another one in there. Needed you so much today. Well, hello. Here I am. Hello, Cassie. What is up, David? What's up, guys? What's up? Welcome, welcome. Hope you're all doing fantastic. Welcome. By the way, guys, for those of you who follow me on TikTok, really appreciate us hitting 900 followers over there. I'm growing quicker on TikTok than I have on YouTube. I don't know if that has to do with the algorithm over there, but I really appreciate it. So 900 followers on TikTok already. Thank you guys very much for that. Appreciate it. And before we even get into this one, I want to say, man, shout out to Sky again from the last stream that we did with his massive support. I really appreciate it. Shout out W Sky in the chat. W Sky. Sarah, what's up, Sarah? All right, guys. All right. What's up, Kay? What's up? Where should I get food? The $1 million question, right? The $1 million question. What do you like, man? What do you like? What's your go-tos? I'm curious. What's your go-tos? All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get carried away with other topics, let's go ahead and just jump right into the point of today's stream. No sense in waiting around, right? So this stream, we're talking about the winning mindset, man. We're talking about a mindset that you can't go wrong with, right? Like if you base all of your future decisions and everything that you decide to do with your anxiety recovery journey, whether it is your mental habits or your physical habits, like your behaviors, if you base everything, right, with this mindset in mind, you simply cannot go wrong. Now, you have to dedicate to this, right? First and foremost, you have to dedicate to this. You have to be willing to do this. This has to be something that you are going to say to yourself, hey, I am going to live by that mindset, right? I am going to live by that mindset. So, the mindset that you can't go wrong with. If you are confused, what do I do about my intrusive thoughts? What do I do about my symptoms? What decisions do I make? What choices do I make? Adopt the mindset of do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do, right? I promise you, if from this day forward, after this stream, you adopt the mindset of do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically. This applies to both. That's a very important detail. Mentally and physically, I promise you, if from this day forward, you truly 110% dedicate yourself to the mindset of I'm going to do the opposite of what my anxiety wants me to do, both mentally and physically, right? You will get where you want to be. Now, some things to expect. I'm going to get into what I'm talking about there, but some things to expect. Not going to be instant. It's going to take work. If you really are going to adopt the mindset of do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically, it's not going to be a fun time. It's not going to be a comfortable time. All of that is irrelevant, right? All of that is irrelevant. It's not about feeling well right away. It's not about having a good time doing it. It's not about being comfortable. The point is, if you are going to dedicate to the mindset of do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically, that is a full send. That there's no questioning that. There is no going back and forth with that. If you're making the decision to do that, I promise you, you will get further than you've ever gone before, right? But you can't be wishy-washy about it. You can't be wishy-washy about it. You can't be, oh, that sounds great, Wonder Bro, but I have my concerns. It won't work. You can't be, oh, that sounds great, Wonder Bro, but here's my issue. Won't work. You can't say, oh, that sounds wonderful, Wonder Bro, but I don't know about this and about that. Won't work, right? If you're going to dedicate, let me get this fucking music out of here. If you're going to dedicate to the mindset of do the opposite of what your anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically. And like I said, I'm going to get into what that means in just a second. It can't be a wishy-washy decision. You can't be on the fence about it. You can't be, yeah, I'll do a little bit of that. Now, it's got to be a full send, right? So with that in mind, it has to be a full send. It can't be back and forth about it. It's got to be a full send. It's not an instant result sort of deal. It's not fun. It's not comfortable. But if you're still with me, right? If you're still with me and you're latching on to this idea, you're interested in this idea, right? And you're not back and forth about it, you're ready to do this, let's get into what I mean by that then, all right? So for those of you who are dedicated and you're not making excuses, you're saying, you know what, okay, I'm going to hear you out. Okay, let's get into what I mean by do the opposite of what your anxiety wants you to do, both mentally and physically. Very important detail there, both mentally and physically. Let's get into it. So if you are doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do, both mentally and physically, then there's no way you couldn't be using the 2 keys. There's no way you couldn't be using the 2 keys. The 2 keys on my channel, my 2 keys, are to live your life as if there is no real threat, live your life as if you're already healed, right? Behaviors, physical behaviors, and mentally stop arguing, fighting, and worrying over your thoughts and feelings. So if you are doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do, both mentally and physically, if you want that to be your mantra moving forward, okay, then there's no way you couldn't be using the 2 keys. So, again, let's talk about it. Let's give some examples. If from this day forward you're going to dedicate to that, here's what it looks like. Let's start with the mental. What does it look like mentally? Let's say you get a sticky, intrusive thought, right, that says something along the lines of, if you don't do this, bad thing will happen, right? Let's say it's a compulsion, like an OCD thought. If you don't do this, bad thing will happen. What would be, and I really want you guys to participate in the chat on tonight's stream. If you're going to live by doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically, give me some examples, chat. Give me some examples of what the opposite would be if you've got a sticky OCD thought that says do this thing or else bad thing would happen. If you're going to live by do the opposite, which I promise will take you to healing in time, what would that look like in that example? And we're going to give a bunch of examples, but what would it look like in that example? Okay, so again, sticky, intrusive OCD thought says if you don't do this, bad thing will happen, right? Bad thing will happen. What would be the opposite of that, right? What would be the opposite of that? Let's get some examples rolling in chat. Let's get some examples rolling in chat. And then we'll carry on. I want you guys to participate, because I'm telling you, if you really did dedicate by this mindset, you would heal. You would heal. There would be no way around it. There'd be no way that you wouldn't heal if you really dedicated full send with this mindset. Right? Full send with this mindset. A lot of people will watch the streams and they'll say that sounds like an interesting concept, but they won't dedicate to it. So let's see if you guys are paying attention. All right. So Gamer says, don't do the thing. Exactly. Lay down and let it happen, right? Or not literally, but yeah, you get the point. Not hiding the sharp objects. There you go. The opposite would be not to worry. Anxiety tells me that worry will protect me. Yeah, so in that example, if you have a sticky OCD thought that says, do this or bad thing will happen, the opposite of doing what anxiety wants you to do in that moment would be to not do the thing, right? And to embrace the anxiety that comes with not doing the thing, but purposely making the choice of not doing the thing, because you're going to do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do. Let's move on with another mental example. Let's say you have a thought, right, that says you really need to overthink this. You really need to get to the bottom of it. What would be doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do? You would leave it up to chance. You would say, well, that might happen, right? And you would accept the thought as it's there. You would accept the thoughts that come and go. You wouldn't ruminate on them. You wouldn't worry on them. You would greet them all with the same accepting inner voice of, you know what, that might happen. You wouldn't go, hand in the cookie jar stream, right? You wouldn't go down the rabbit hole with it. That would be doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do in that moment. Now let's talk about the physical. Let's talk about the physical a little bit. Let's talk about behaviors. Let's say anxiety starts to rise. And again, I really want you guys to participate in this so that this will stick, right? So that you don't just turn this stream off and never think about it again. Let's get into a physical behavioral example of doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do. Let's say anxiety is very high and you're tempted to, get up and pace around the house. What would be the opposite, right? What would be the opposite? To purposely sit with it. Let's say anxiety is very high. You've got extreme symptoms that's telling you don't do that thing because you're not ready for that thing. What would be the opposite of doing what anxiety wants you to do? You would do that thing. Let's say you have extremely high anxiety and you want to get up and you want to go to your safe corner, right? You want to retreat to the bedroom. You want to retreat to the couch. You want to do what you normally do when you're anxious, to feel safer, to feel, so forth and so on. What would be the opposite of that? You wouldn't retreat to the couch. You wouldn't retreat to the bed. That would be the opposite. You can't go wrong with the mindset of do the opposite. If you are doing the opposite, you are using the two keys. There's no way around it. So if you're one of those people who are worried, am I using the two keys? Am I doing the right thing? Literally do the opposite, both mentally and physically, of what anxiety wants you to do, and you are nailing the two keys if you're really doing that, right? If you're really doing that. Because again, the two keys are live life as if you're already healed and stop fighting with your thoughts and feelings mentally. So if you're doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do, both mentally and physically, there is no way you couldn't be nailing the two keys. There's just no way. So if you're one of those people who are overthinking this stuff, right, and a lot of people overthink it, it's what got you here in the Sensei's boat to begin with, right? If you're one of those people who are really overthinking this stuff, just live by do the opposite mentally and physically, right? And there you go. And there you go. You couldn't be any closer to the two keys. You couldn't be any closer to the two keys if you're doing the opposite. Jen says, hey, Chris, just sent 25 via PayPal towards the stream, but not sure it came through. Actually, I did just get it. Thank you so much, Jen, for letting me know. I really appreciate it. Hey, shout out to Jen in the chat. Everybody else who's leaving comments, I promise I'm going to read them all. I just want to finish this rant strong here. I don't want to get too sidetracked. Thank you so much, Jen, for the love on the stream and the support. Show some love in the chat. Guys, we got Sky in the house tonight, too. Show him some love, man, for his amazing support in our last stream. I will change the banner for you as soon as we're done here. So anyway, guys, I want to give some more examples. You guys know I'm a huge fan. I'm a fanboy of examples, man, because I want you to be able to relate to this in real time. So I'm going to give some more examples here. Again, I cannot express how important this is. If you're one of those people who overcomplicate everything and overthink the two keys, it doesn't get more simple than do the opposite. So let's give some more examples. Let's say we'll do another physical example. What does sensitization cause you not to be able to think straight? What's the science behind it? Fight or flight. Fight or flight. The fight or flight system purposely makes it to where you cannot have access to rational thought process that lies in the rest digest system of your brain. So that's why you have to accept that you're having irrational thoughts and feelings and symptoms, but do the opposite. So let's get into another example. Let's get into a physical example again. Let's say you wake up with a ton of anxiety. Everybody knows what morning anxiety feels like. Show of hands in the chat how many people here have dealt with horrible morning anxiety, that doom and gloom feeling, just that awful, nasty morning anxiety feeling. I had dealt with that many, many times in my life in the past. Show of hands. So physical example of do the opposite with morning anxiety. You wake up, the anxiety, it's through the roof. You got that nasty, icky, sticky, doom and gloom, shit's about to hit the fan feeling. If you are truly living by do the opposite, you watch this stream and you're going to live by that. You would say to yourself in the moment, okay, let's do the opposite. What does anxiety want me to do? It wants me to lay here and wallow in self-pity about my morning anxiety. So what is do the opposite? Right? What is do the opposite? You would get up out of bed, you wouldn't lay there and wallow in it, and you'd go take a shower, and while you're taking the shower, you'd listen to some music, and you would eat your breakfast, and you would sit at the table, and you wouldn't lay in bed and wallow in it. That would be do the opposite. Anxiety wants you to play it safe with your morning anxiety and lay in the bed, right? Lay in the bed. But we're doing the opposite, right? You guys are going to start doing the opposite, so we're going to do the opposite of that. Let's give another physical example. Let's say, and there's just so many examples, man. I just love examples because it really just makes it make sense, in real time. And I hope you guys really just, if you're overthinking recovery, I hope you adopt this mantra and live by it. Thank you for the purple hearts, guys. Another physical example. Let's say you want to do something. Let's say, I don't know, here's a common fear, being alone. A lot of people are afraid to be alone with their anxiety. So let's say you're going to be alone, or there's a chance that you might be alone, and you're thinking to yourself, how can I get around this? How can I get out of this? Maybe I can have someone stay with me. Maybe I can get them to cancel their plans so that they can stay with me and I can be quote unquote safe. What would be do the opposite with that physical behavior? It would be to stay alone. Right? When you break it down into do the opposite, guys, it doesn't become any more clear. It doesn't become any more clear. I didn't say easy. I said it doesn't become any more clear. I didn't say it becomes easy. I said it doesn't become any more clearer. Right? It makes your objective very clear. I didn't say easy. I said it makes your objective very clear when you are doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically. Not easy, but clear. Clear. Right? So let's give a mental example of do the opposite. We're just going to keep rattling off examples until I make my point here very, very clearly. So a mental example, right? A mental example of do the opposite of what anxiety would want you to do is, let's say that you've got this thought there and it's bugging you. It's a thought about the past and wants you to figure something out in the past, right? What would be do the opposite? Not figure it out. Leave it up to chance. Every time it comes in, you don't go down the rabbit hole. You just say, well, we're going to leave that up to chance, right? I'm going to do the opposite. That would be another mental example. Let's give one last physical example of what you would do if you're doing the opposite. Let's say you really want to get back into your old hobbies, but anxiety is really intense. So you're like, nah, I think I'll pass on that hobby tonight. I don't want to do that fun activity. I just don't feel like it. Anxiety wants me to play it safe. What would be do the opposite in that example? To do the thing, right? To do the thing. So you see, these examples are not very deep. And the reason they're not very deep is because they don't need to be. It's very clear. Do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically is just the clearest thing in the world. It doesn't get any clearer. And if anyone says, wait a minute, it's not clear, you're lying to yourself. It is extremely clear when it comes to do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically. The thing is, people don't want to do that because it's not a fun time. It's not a fun time. It's not a joyous time. It requires facing discomfort, and that's why people don't want to do it. It's not because it's not clear. You can't get any clearer than do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically. You cannot get any clearer than that. The reason it's not being done, right, is because it's not fun. That's the reason it's not being done. But as far as it being clear, it's clear. It's very clear. So I'm telling you guys, if from this day forward you live by do the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do mentally and physically, you're golden. But you have to full send that. You can't be wishy-washy about it. You can't be, I don't know about... If you're going to dedicate to that, you're going to dedicate to that. I'm not saying you can't have slip-ups. I'm not saying you can't have screw-ups, right? I'm not saying you can't have screw-ups, but you got to dedicate to that. There's got to be a full send, right? You're allowed to screw up. You're allowed to make mistakes, but there can't be this half-ass sort of attitude of do the opposite, okay, sometimes I'll do the opposite, sometimes I won't do the opposite. No, we got to get on board here, and we got to say, yeah, I'm really going to do the opposite. Like, I might fuck it up sometimes. I might not be perfect at it. I might screw up quite a bit, but I'm really gonna start doing the opposite. So again, the attitude's got to be on board. You got to say, yeah, it's time to full send this thing. We're gonna do this thing. It can't be this back and forth sort of, I'll do it if I get instant results, or I'll do it if it feels okay to do it. There can't be any of that contemplation. If you're gonna do it, you got to do it, right? And I think you guys at this point, I know you guys deserve it. You deserve that healing. You deserve that retraining. But I think at this point, for a lot of you, it's time to say, you know what? How many times do I have to give in to what anxiety wants me to do before I say, you know what? My life and the quality of my life, the one life, let me remind you, the one life that you get is worth dedicating to doing the opposite. Absolutely worth dedicating to doing the opposite. So again, guys, this stream is really for just all the people out there who just really overthink recovery and what do I do here and what do I do there, which, by the way, is just more unhelpful, stressful worry. This stream is really for the people out there who are ready to go. They're ready to do this thing. They're ready to finally be done with this thing, but they just didn't know where they want to stand, right? They didn't know where they want to stand, okay? So what if you're at the bottom of the barrel and you want to go on vacation for a week, but you can barely leave your bed without freaking out? Would you do the opposite there? You can. It's up to you. You can go at your own pace with do the opposite, but there is no excuse why you can't be doing the opposite mentally 24 hours a day. Right? So there's no excuse there. You can always be doing the opposite mentally, which is going to help your nervous system and hopefully lead you to bigger and better things. But you can go at your own pace. Like, you don't have to go mountain climbing the first day of doing the opposite, but you should always be doing the opposite mentally. No doubt, 24/7. There's no justifiable excuse for why you can't do the opposite mentally, right? Now, physically, with your behaviors, go on vacation, whatever, we can work our way to that. But on your daily, whatever your daily routine is right now, you should be doing the opposite, whatever that daily routine is, right? Within your daily routine, the opposite should be of what anxiety wants should be done, right? We can talk about growing that. We can talk about getting to bigger things in the future, right? We can talk about that. But every single day, you should be doing the opposite of what anxiety wants you to do. And then eventually, over time, as we gain confidence, we gain healing, we can talk about bigger and bigger things, of course, right? We can talk about bigger and bigger things, obviously. But for now, there is still no reason why you can't do the opposite. Right? There's no reason why you can't do the opposite in whatever your current, wherever you find yourself on the totem pole of recovery, you can fit in, do the opposite there, work with what you got, and continue to build up and go from there, right? So thank you guys, man, so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for all the support. Jen coming in with the 25 tip. I appreciate you, Jen. Shout out to her. Drop her some purple hearts in the chat. Sky is here. Sky is an absolute legend, man. Shout out to Sky. But yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know if we'll go the full hour tonight. It is Sunday. I'm normally not here on Sundays. We will hang out for a little bit at least, and yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys for the love. Thank you for the support. Holy shit, Rick, thank you so much, Rick. That is typical. That is typical. We are on a 2-day streak, man. A 2-day streak. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Show some love in the chat to Rick and Jen, and also show some love to Sky, man, for his just mind-blowing support yesterday, or was it yesterday or the day before? I'm not really sure, but shout out to those guys, man. Really appreciate it. Let's see. I can leave my room without freaking out, by the way, just making an example. Well, you want to push that a little bit, right? So, yeah, we're not going to do black and white extreme thinking. Oh, should I do the opposite and go on vacation when I can't leave my room? We're not going to do that extreme of thinking, but we want to push that a little bit. Do the opposite. Spend more time out of your room. We want you to do the opposite, so we don't have to jump all the way to 100 extreme right away, go on vacation. But there are things you can do with do the opposite. You can stay out of the room a little bit more. You can sit on the porch. You can go to the mailbox, right? So there are things you can do that is do the opposite without going to the extreme black and white 100 go on vacation, right? Which will come in time, of course. But you see what I'm saying? You should always be doing the opposite, even if that is in the confines of where you find yourself on your journey right now. Does that make sense? You don't have to go to the 100% black and white extreme with do the opposite, but you can always do the opposite, even if you're not going to the extreme. So I hope that makes sense. Hope that clears that up. What's up, Donkey? Good to see you in the chat. What's up, man? What is up? What is up? Let's see here. Thank you guys, man, for the support. Thank you for the tip goal. Really appreciate it, guys. Really appreciate it. One second. Just need to reply to this. Kind of important. Wonder Bro, why does sensitization cause irrational thoughts? What's the science behind it? Because you're in the fight or flight part of the brain. You've got two parts of your brain, the rest digest part of the brain, where your prefrontal cortex takes the dominant role. The prefrontal cortex is your thinking mind, rational thought process, stuff like that. You've got your fight or flight part of the brain, which is when you're sensitized. The amygdala is running the show. Right? So when the amygdala is running the show and you are in the fight or flight part of the brain, your brain thinks you're in danger. And because your brain thinks you're in danger, it is not going to allow you to have access to rational thoughts. It's not going to allow that, because if you're in danger, we need to get your attention. We need to get you worried. We need to get you freaking out so that you can save yourself. So it's not going to allow you to have access to things like that, right? But that's where your job comes into the picture, where you have to say, I'm going to do the opposite because the danger's not real, right? Luis, thank you so much, man. Amazing. You guys are just fucking amazing. I appreciate it. Let me elaborate just for another minute or two on that, and then I'll read your tip note, Luis. That's where your job comes into play. So yeah, your brain is in fight or flight. It's going to be giving you irrational thoughts and symptoms. That's where you got to sit back and say, wait a minute, okay, I know the danger isn't real. My job's to just do the opposite. So I'm not going to fight with these thoughts, because that's what anxiety wants me to do. I'm not going to ruminate over them. I'm not going to fight with these feelings. I'm not going to use coping methods of compulsions, because that's what anxiety wants me to do. You are proving to your brain that the alarm is false. Take a look around. Do you see anything trying to kill you? Boom, the alarm's false. Now we move on to what you do about it. What you do about it is you prove to the brain that the alarm is false. How? By doing the opposite. By doing the opposite. And that is the point of today's stream. Very good question, Kay. Thank you so much for the question. I really appreciate it. Let's see. Let's see. Had a message above. Yeah, guys, if your message gets skipped, all you can do is just copy and paste it. Let's see. Is it okay to panic if you're doing the opposite of what anxiety is wanting you to do? Well, you can't control panic. You shouldn't be working yourself up into a state of panic, because if you're working yourself up into a state of panic, then you're apparently not doing the opposite, because that would involve not fighting with those thoughts and feelings. But let's say, I see what you're getting at. Let's say you're dedicated to doing the opposite, and that in itself freaks you out because you're used to your compulsions, you're used to fighting with the thoughts. I get what you're saying. Will doing the opposite lead to uncomfortable feelings? Of course, yes, and that's where people fall short. They won't do it for that reason, but it's what's going to lead to healing. So I get what you're getting at. Is it okay to panic if you're doing the opposite? If you're truly doing the opposite, yeah, it's okay to feel whatever you feel. If you're truly doing the opposite, you're going to face uncomfortable feelings, and that's totally fine. That is not a measurement of how you are doing. If you're doing the opposite, you are doing what you need to do, and your brain is learning. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. Is there a chance that you might panic or experience uncomfortable feelings by doing the opposite? Yeah, sure. But you're already experiencing uncomfortable feelings by doing the fight. So you might as well do the opposite, right? So I get what you're getting at there, and I hope that answers your question. Hope you're doing great tonight, Jen. Hope you're doing great tonight, Rick, Sky, K, Donkey Gamer, everybody in chat. Hope you're doing great. It gets annoying because sometimes I have to make decisions and my decision making is irrational. Yeah, you can be sort of back and forth with decision making. Dr. Claire Weeks says that you should either just get somebody to help you make those decisions, or if you don't have somebody to help you make a firm decision, just make that firm decision and stick with it regardless, right? So I understand. It can be frustrating when you're in that fight or flight state, but you do need to do the opposite. You do need to do the opposite. I did this today, Wonder Bro. I had a thought that had me near panic, and my brain wanted me to run to my room. Instead, I kept mulching and didn't flee the scene. That is doing the opposite. You will heal. Luis, man, I didn't even read your tip note or add it. I'm so sorry. I forgot. Luis with the 10. Thank you, brother. We're always sending the 10s over. I appreciate the support. It says, Wonder Bro, thank you for the Sunday night stream. I realized that this journey is one of courage and patience. I feel super good knowing that I can apply the 2 keys to courage and patience, and that's almost 100% shot at recovery. Luis, you are right on track, man. You are right on board. You have been dedicated since day one. I love it. I love to see it. Thank you for the constant support, man, here on the channel. Thank you so much. Really, really appreciate it. Again, guys, thank you for 900 followers on TikTok. I'm glad I signed up over there. Let's get to that 1,000 mark so we can start going live. Appreciate you guys getting that septic tank fixed next week, Wonder Bro. I got a call on Thursday. Once I call on Thursday, I'll get a more specific date. I got a call on Wednesday. Sorry, on Wednesday I got a call, and then I'll have a more specific date. Call on Wednesday, and I think he said it's possible for a Thursday. So, yeah, hopefully next week. Would you change the banner to make Kate and America great with ponies? I got you, dude. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Let me do that real quick. And by real quick, I mean at a very slow pace because I'm not very good with this technology thing. Let me see. Make Kate and America great. I'm not even going to pretend to know what that means. I'm sure it's some sort of inside joke with Kate, but I will 100% put it on the board. There you go. Hopefully no typos. No typos. No typos. Went to lunch yesterday. Thought I'd get there and go right home. I sat down, though, and didn't run. Stayed 2 hours, but felt so much nausea. So the entire time, and now this morning, I'm so sick, I panic. Okay, so yeah, again, it's going to, and here's the thing that people don't want to hear. It's going to not be fun to do the opposite. But at some point, it is worth it because your life is worth it, right? So at some point, and what would be the opposite right now, Cassie? You did an exposure, great. You did the opposite. What would be the opposite right now that you're panicking about feeling sick? The opposite would be to not fight with those thoughts about sick this, sick that, sick this, sick that. The opposite would not to be try to reassure yourself over the thoughts. The opposite would be to embrace it, right? The opposite, there's many different examples of what the opposite is. Figure that out, which is not hard to figure that out. Just do the opposite of what that anxiety wants you to do, right? Mentally and physically. And then do that. Right? With what I know now about sensitization, I realized I became sensitized 2 years before I had my first panic attack, which explains the feelings of depression and difficulty thinking years prior. Yes, it does. It's a lifelong habit usually. Sensitization is just the boiling point, but it's usually a lifelong habit of fighting thoughts and feelings, aka doing what they want you to do. My brain is in the severe state for the most part as far as anxiety goes, so as I desensitize, my anxiety won't be as intense anymore, and I'll be able to be more rational towards panic attacks. Continue doing the opposite. Didn't know it was sensitized nerves until I had the full breakdown. Do the opposite. I'm sorry, I just keep saying it because I really want to drive that home, guys. You can't go wrong with that mindset. That's why the title of the stream is what it is, but you got to take it seriously. Not saying that you're not taking it seriously, but my point is, let that sink in, man. It's so important. It's so important. So important. There's a strange and sick sort of satisfaction that comes from giving in to the anxiety. There is. It's called compulsions and reassurance, right? It's a habit. It's a sick sort of reassurance. It's a sick sort of satisfaction. You actually took the words out of my mouth. I've said that exact thing before here on the channel, David. So that is a good way to view it. It's true. It's absolutely true. It's addicting. Panic attacks can't hurt you either. They can't. They absolutely can't. If anxiety or panic could hurt you guys, you wouldn't be here. You've been here for week after week, month after month, year after year, even before you found me, right? Cheers, Wonder Bro. Appreciate that. Absolutely. No problem, Sky. Thank you again. You legend, man. You legend. Once you no longer fear it, it's game over for anxiety. The thing is, you cannot get to the point where you no longer fear it unless you're doing the opposite, because you're not pushing limits. You're not showing yourself what you're capable of. You are doing what anxiety wants you to do. Therefore, you're always going to fear it in a way. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm just making a point, gamer. Yeah, but I mean, I agree with you. But the only way to get to the point of no longer fearing it is you got to start doing the opposite, or else you're not going to build any confidence towards it. You're not going to get over your fear of it if you're not doing the opposite. You're always just going to be running and doing what it wants you to do, and it'll never work. Never work. Never work. Never work. All right, you guys, like I said, this is going to be sort of a short one here tonight. I didn't even really plan on being here, but I don't know. Sometimes I read Discord comments. Sometimes I read comments on prior videos or streams or even TikTok now, and I'm like, hey, this person could really benefit from this stream or this stream. And then I'm not patient, so it's like I can't put it off. I'm like, yeah, I need to jump on stream and give this message. So I hope this message helps somebody out there. Like I said, this is mostly aimed at the people that are confused and they want a certain mantra to live by so that they know they're using the 2 keys, which is do the opposite. You can't go wrong. If you're doing the opposite mentally and physically of what anxiety wants you to do, you can't go wrong. You're 100% using 2 keys. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Enjoy the rest of my Sunday night. I hope you guys do the same. Thank you so much for being here for this short little surprise stream. Really appreciate it. Much love to you, Prince. Hello, Wonder Bro. Love from India. Much love to you, man. You need to get from the oh no, it's anxiety to let's bring it on anxiety. Yeah, do the opposite attitude, right? The bring it on anxiety attitude. Do the opposite. So thank you guys for being here for this little pop-up random Sunday stream. Hope you enjoy it. Watch it back, man, if you need to. If you're late, watch it back. Have a great rest of your Sunday night. I'll see you very, very soon. Till next time, as always, Thank you for all the love. Thank you for all the support. You're beautiful, and I love you with all my heart and soul. Have a great night. Stay awesome.